Welcome to Discourse, a podcast about music as a medium for conversation. Our guest today is Miami-based Roger Del Pino. He's been releasing cerebral pop under the name Monterrey since 2014. It's sort of a electronic indie dream pop. Roger, you come from a family of casual musicians. You say your grandmother was a piano teacher. You had several other relatives that sang or played guitar at family gatherings. How did that shape your relationship with music?
It definitely inspired me at those early ages to understand why music was so important in our family in particular. It brought people together. It instilled feelings of, nostalgia and living in the moment, and just enjoying oneself amongst family and friends. So I think that connection was something that lasted with me for the years.
Nice. And you say early on you were drawn to Catholic hymns, later bossa nova, new age, post punk, EDM. How do all those genres show up in the music you create?
Definitely a huge, I think if you listen to my music, there's definitely elements of just about everything in the music. You'll probably hear more of a strong influence of electronic and some elements of rock and pop in it, but also a lot of nostalgia, dreamy qualities that I think are a big part of me and how I write personally, because I personally imprint myself onto that dreamy aspect of music, which is something that I felt that has always influenced me and inspired me. Uh, Trying to reach for that kind of like that plateau or that kind of feeling, that I've always felt growing up, listen to those moods, and I think it's always something that's driven me to make that kind of music.
Nice. Well, our theme this week is dreaming. Ties into a lot of elements in your music. So let's get into it. Music starts in three, two, one. This first track is In Limbo by Radiohead. It was released on Kid A on XL Recordings in 2000. Roger, tell us about this song.
So up until this time, which was probably around 2005, uh, I'd been very into electronic music. I had been into electronic music for probably about 7, 8 years with the late 90s hip hop culture, a lot of rock music as well, grunge. But up until this point, I was very much into EDM. I was a DJ for a long time, a house and progressive house DJ. And then a friend recommended Kid A to me. I had already heard of Radiohead. I'd been listening to some of the material, but I hadn't heard Kid A yet. And I remember the first time when I was living in northern Florida at the time in a city called Gainesville, when I was attending University of Florida. I had
Oh,
listened to this
nice.
particular song, and I found that something in this song triggered something in me that would affect me for years to come. Uh, this song in particular was that quality that I'd always been looking for in and something that I never knew could be done with music. And I thought Radiohead did an excellent job with this, and it kind of set off something, a chain reaction in me that would have me hunting for this feeling when I wrote my own music over the years.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Radiohead is a great band to try to emulate. Like, they're fantastic. Also,
So many have
sorry,
tried.
yeah. Side note, I didn't know you were a Gator. My parents went to University of Florida. Gator Chomp.
Damn, Heather, so much I've learned. Still waiting
Yeah.
for the wedding picture.
Oh, that's right. I'll get them to you. And
This
they're
is the
really,
second time we have Radiohead on the show.
yeah, once again, I'm reminded I need to listen to them more.
Same.
Yeah.
I think, I do feel like that's, um, like that quality that I could never quite like put words to with Radiohead though. Like
Mm.
now I feel kind of silly. Like it's kind of like a dreamy atmosphere.
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of their core lies in that dream aesthetic,
Yeah.
at least their later work.
I
Yeah.
definitely could see like a fuzzy dream filter. Like if I were to see it in film or a video like that yellowy or a blue with kind of a blur.
Yeah. And it's also that kind of music, at least for me, Radiohead always makes me feel like I could tune out if I needed to. And
Hmm.
it's kind of meditative for me in that way.
It kind of puts you into a sort of a trance state, uh,
Yeah.
listening to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that that dreaminess is kind of what like I think affected me the most listening to this song, and it is something that influenced me big time going forward.
Nice. Right, this next song is Ascension, Don't Ever Wonder by Maxwell. It was released on Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite on Columbia Records in 1996. Raja, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so
Uh,
when thinking about when thinking about the theme dreaming, this sound uh to me sounds dreamlike, ethereal, relaxing. But I started listening to the lyrics again. At first, it um came across as like just a love song, you know what I mean? But as I listen to it again, it's like he's begging her almost to let him know that she's real and like repeating like I can't even believe I'm experiencing you or have experienced something like you. So thinking about like a fantasy love that you want to be real, but also because this represented, I think, the soul movement of like the 1990s, just that vibe of really having spiritual and personal growth, I think, is evident in this song. And so mixing that with the themes of love and then just feeling of something you can't put your finger on, but you know you like it and you want it to continue and to be real makes me think about dreaming. And when you have a good dream and you wake up and you try to remember it, that's what the song makes me think of.
It's like a baby making song, Raja. I feel
Right?
like.
Very much so.
That
Yes, it is.
too.
Raja, what do you think? You're the only one here, I think, that has made a baby. Would you put it on your
No,
baby making playlist?
I
Put this on my
wouldn't.
baby
I would.
making playlist.
Yeah.
I could dance with my boo to this, but making a baby, it's too
You
sweet for
could
me.
practice making a baby, Raja.
But I will say,
Yeah.
like on the subject of dreaming, like a lot of
Yeah.
soul in general is like also kind
Mm,
of mutes some of that like frequency that I hear in like some of the kind of music that I listen to, and soul was a
yeah.
huge thing for me listening to like Curtis Mayfield and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
probably like Maxwell's influences. I'm sure are part of that chain. Marvin Gaye and Marvin Gaye in particular is a great example for dreaming because his songs are so much about like the world and how we wish how we wish it appeared in our dreams, and
Yeah.
everything they strive for, and so I feel like those kind of dreams are also like I mean like connected with hope, right? So
Yeah.
it's all entangled, and I feel like soul is right there with it, regardless if you're talking about post-punk, electronic. I mean, soul is soul.
Yeah.
Exactly. Still not feeling the baby making. I, I'm looking for it. Not there yet.
It's just one of those like velvety smooth songs.
Yeah. And like at least for me, it's one of those songs that like you can't not like move to,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Definitely. It just kind of makes you move in general.
Mm.
The bass line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is very dreamy also because I feel like soul for me as well has that quality of getting lost in that dreamlike state and sort of just jamming, which I think is such a beautiful quality of music, of helping you either, change your mood or feel better, feel sad, feel happy, like it can really put you in places. And I love
Totally.
music that kind of like helps you zone out.
I feel like every week we do this show, I'm like, oh, I need to listen to more of this. Like, I just need more time in my day to listen to music.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back through our playlist too to add all the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Well, they're easy to
Definitely.
find.
Humble brag.
What year is this song from?
96.
96.
Oh, it's a great
Oh,
year. Wow.
it's fairly recent.
Well,
Just 28
Fairly.
years ago.
yeah.
28 years ago.
Oh, I'm getting
I
old.
mean, I don't know. In comparison to all the other music we've had on the show from
I
like
mean,
the
there's a good mix.
70s.
Some of
Can
it's
I,
really
Yeah.
new. All right, this next song is
Yeah.
Because by the Beatles. It was released on Abbey Road on Apple Records in 1969. Carla, tell us about it.
Yeah, so in the subject of dreaming, I feel like this song is one of those songs that whenever I just really need some space or need to get out of my head is one of those songs that I love listening to. And one of the greatest parts I think of this song, recorded on Abbey Road, is that it has the Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison like harmony, the 3-part vocal, which they recorded 3 different times. So then it's like it sounds like 9 voices. So I feel like it has that really lovely quality of like, I don't know, it makes me want to lay down in a field and just like look at the clouds, It has that
Yeah.
effect on me. And then I'm a big Lennon fan, not to be cliche, but I am a Lennon fan because he has that kind of quality in his music, right? Like I was listening to Oh My Love the other day and I was like, yeah, it's like so simple. The lyrics are very simple. But then they do this thing with like the harmony, the medley, that just kind of, yeah, it takes you there. And I know that like this song was inspired by Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, or at least that's what John Lennon said. And I could see how too, because that song is also so dreamy, right? Like dun 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 dun. Like it's just such a simple song, but it really transports you. Yeah, I love, 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 love this song. And it's one of those songs that I could always just have in the background. Yeah.
And
And
it
it was a
definitely
big
gives
part
you a
of the
lullaby.
record. Go ahead, Raja.
Oh, it's saying it's giving lullaby.
Yeah, yeah. And I love this part. I don't know what instrument that is. I always wonder, what is it, like a pianola or something that plays in the back? I can't tell if it's a wind instrument. Again, I'm a terrible musician. I'm just an appreciator of music. But I don't know if Roger could tell us what that is, since he plays music. But yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's very beautiful. I would have to look it up. It is. It's called an electric harpsichord.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, this next song is Daydreamin' Blue by iMonster. It was released on Never Odd or Even on Dharma Records in 2004. So this is iMonster's an electronic duo from Sheffield, England.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember how I found this song. It's just one of the random tracks in my likes. And that it kind of has this stanza that repeats in it.
Yeah.
It's daydream. I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple hours on a beautiful day. and there are variations that go through it. So like this to me is very like, dreamy vibe, clearly. And then there are a couple verses in there that are different. It's variations of kind of the same thing. But this is, I dream a dirty dream of you, baby. You're swinging from the chandelier. I'm climbing up the walls because I want you. But when I reach you, you disappear. So it's, kind of weird, kind of an abstract dream about a person, a lover.
Yeah.
I really like the vibe of this song. And the name actually of I, Monster and its label Twins of Evil are both from horror films starring Peter Cushing, who's an English actor. He was Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars, which is mostly what I know him from. He's the one that blows up Alderaan, if you're not familiar with the name. But yeah, I like the little Easter egg things
sure.
like that. And of course, they're British, so of course I like them.
I was just looking up their lyrics. I love them.
And so many people have done like versions of this.
Yeah, Lupe Fiasco, I think, sampled.
Yeah. Lupe Fiasco,
Yeah.
and then and the original one is like from a Belgian band called Wells Collection, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's been like several iterations, but this one is great. The initial part of this sounds a lot like the Lupe Fiasco version.
That's what I was thinking of.
Mm. Whatever happened to Lupe?
No idea.
I think he made a comeback recently. After sharing thoughts. Yeah.
Beneath the flowers. I like this kind of like electronic version of it too, because it gives it like new life.
And it sounds weird
Yeah.
with the
So
robotic.
it's that
sound.
alien robotic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has that like.
Yeah, they use a vocoder for that. It's I love what it does to the actual sonic quality of the music. Really picking up a lot of Portishead in this too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that is round one. It's time for a message from our sponsor, but we don't have any yet, so here's free promotion for something I like. This week it is possums. Apparently I've run out of companies I like, and, get ready. It's going to get weird. The Virginia possum is the only marsupial native to North America. Their body temperature is lower than most mammals, which makes them practically immune to rabies. They also eat ticks and small rodents, so they're a great pest deterrent. And they are like semi-nomadic, so they usually rotate between a few different places. They don't stay in one place and nest. So if they get in your house, they're probably going to leave soon. And they also play dead when threatened. So they're like the least threatening animal you can come across in the wild, and everyone should be very nice to them. Oh, possums. I love them.
Yeah, I love marsupials too. They get a better reputation.
Long live possums.
They do. All right, let's get into round two. Right, this is Beauty Lies in the Eye by Sonic Youth. It was released on Sister on Squeaky Squawk in 1987. Roger, tell us about this song.
So this song in particular, like the Radiohead song I had picked earlier, instilled those same feelings of that dreamy quality in music that I've always been chasing. The video for this song is something quite dreamy as well, which I would highly recommend. But it's sort of takes on some of the early inspirations of shoegaze music. Sonic Youth was one of those godfathers of that kind of sound, and they were influenced by other bands like Suicide and Velvet Underground before them. But this particular song I liked because it post-punk is sort of a huge influence on me and how how I began writing music as well. And but again, like talking about the dreamy qualityness of music, I found sonically this is something that I also have been chasing, in that feeling of dreaminess found in music. And the song lyrics as well are kind of like very dreamy as well. I can kind of shut up and let some of that kind of talk
No,
out.
talk as much as you want.
But I can say some of the lyrics out loud here. Some of the ones that stood out to me are the song's title, beauty lies in the eyes of another's dream. Beauty lies lost in another's dream. It's coming down over me. Do you want to see these explosions in my eye? Do you want to see the reflection of how it used to be? So,
Yes.
I really like that kind of like ethereal quality in music. And it was very hard to just choose 2 songs, by the way, for this. Even though I know we chose 3,
Yeah.
but third. But particularly in my case, it was just hard to even narrow it down to like 3 in some, because there's just so much great music beyond. I guess I limited it to the influences I had on my own music. That was a short one.
Nice. I feel you on that. It's hard. I have extras in our database of like all the backup songs that I could use for different episodes.
It's time for the part 2.
Yeah. All right. This is Meant to Live by Switchfoot. It was released on The Beautiful Letdown on Sony BMG in 2003. Raja, tell us about this one.
I think this goes directly into what Roger was saying earlier about dreaming about what we want the world to be, specifically how society is. And so I think this is just great commentary on us as a society of people, where we could be, what we should be doing, in light of current events, everything. We have health advances, thinking about medicine and things, and why we can't help more people with the resources we do have access to. And I just love this song, and it gives me alternative rock and gospel vibes as well. So definitely along the themes of a lot of things that are important to me in life. Just about reflection. And the guitar.
I like that. I
The
haven't heard this
vocals?
song in so long.
So
It was one of those like, so I grew up, very Christian. So this is one of those bands that was like on the line of like rock and Christian rock.
Yep,
So like
yep.
it was free game. I didn't have to feel bad about anything. And it was great.
I love the cover art too.
Like that's a bar. We lost ourselves.
Mm.
The collective we, not specifically we. And yeah, Joe Foreman talked about the reason the song sounds like he's just yearning. He was saying he was reflecting on some reading, and he was also reflecting on how beautiful the world could be if it lived up to those ideals we have, just as people wanting good for ourselves, but also the greater good. And I think he embodied that well in his song. And it's like, I want to live better than the life that I've been sold or told is the good.
That's what I love about music in particular. You can really have, and regardless of what music you're listening to, you can always channel those yearnings and wants into like a music, into a song, and it can, regardless of who's listening, everybody can relate to it and connect to it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
This next song is On the Line by First World. It was released on Pop on Time Mind in 2021. Carla, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so timely since we just had him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my favorite song by First World, aka my best friend. And I think it's because it has such a personal nature, and it always makes me cry, the music video, because of all this song was written in 2020 while we were all in the pandemic, and I think it's such like a slow song, and it's so emotional that it always gives me that dream-like quality, but sort of like just it makes me feel like I'm talking to a friend, ironically. But yeah, I really, really love this song because it also ties into, I think in 2020, faced with the impending extinction of humans, which thankfully didn't happen. It was a really reflective period, right? And at least for me, like, dreams for me are very reflective. I have very lucid dreams usually, where a lot of things happen that I'm thinking about later in the day. And I think this song is a very reflective song. And even though it's a love song and based on what, Chris was going through at that time, I feel like it fits in a lot of areas in life. Yeah.
And it's definitely a daydreamy kind of vibe too, because also knowing Chris and the meaning of this song, but this also kind of is a daydream too, like all the years that have passed, and I think which are really like the influence on this song, everywhere Chris or First World has come from, and to that moment and reflection on that through a daydream.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish more people knew of this song because for me it's such a good song, and it's like one of those songs that I always listen to. But also I feel like it has that longing that dreams have, right? Like until dreams become a reality, they're sort of like things we aspire to, and we have these ideas of what they could have been. So that's another quality I really like of the song. That part of like, never got to do the things I wanted. So
I think regret has a lot to influence us on. Everybody has a regret or something they would have changed, right? Like I got asked that question the other day. It's like, what would you do differently had you known such and such would happen? And I'm one of the fortunate few that had a good upbringing, but so many had mistakes along the way, and I mean I wouldn't change for anything personally, but it's always tempting, right? What would you change? And then when you can't change it, we end up dreaming about what could have been, right? And what our lives could have been like in a different world, a different life path. And this is what I love about this song in particular, because it's just a reflection on all that and looking down your life up until now and wondering about how things could have been,
Yeah.
I need to sit with this longer, but I really like this song. It's a really comfortable, peaceful vibe I'm getting from it. And it makes me think of when you have to come to peace with things that you can't change as well, and kind of that lull you can get into when you're starting
100%.
to organize or plan to
It's
move
acceptance,
forward
right? Like
and deal with it.
accepting
Yeah.
where you're at in
Accepting.
life and
Yes.
trusting the journey and
Exactly.
where life has brought you. Oh, Chris, he's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love this line, the rosy colored bullshit, then I blinked, it was done, and you were gone, all up in flames, that's it. I really love that line. I'm like, damn, that's pretty brilliant. It's a brilliant piece of writing.
I also really like the artwork for this album. Like, it's, in a lot of ways, it's very simple. It's like, scribbles with markers but it came out really well.
I can't think of the artist that did it, I think, but it really brings out a lot of Jean-Michel Basquiat to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, this next track is Sleeping In by the Postal Service. It was released on Give Up on Sub Pop Records in 2003. So anyone my age, I think, knows this song. So it's an indie pop group from Seattle. One of the members was from Death Cab for Cutie, so they never had time to do any more than this one album, which everybody was very upset about. But it's such a great album, and this to me is just kind of like, kind of like the themes we've talked about already, like imagining a better world. And in this way, it's like, so I had the strangest dream where everything was exactly how it seemed. So it's kind of like just a simpler world where we don't have to kind of decode everything, and it's, things are just what they say they are, which I think is a very, I don't know, I love that idea. I wish the world were simpler a lot of times. But yeah, I really love this. And, there's one section that the lyrics are concerns about the world getting warmer. People thought that they were just being rewarded for treating others as they'd like to be treated. And then it says a couple more things. Then now we can swim any day in November. So I feel like it kind of feels like that liminal space to me between like waking and dreaming, and like kind of choosing to stay in that kind of dreaming space instead of waking
So
up.
true. Yeah. I love that lyric, by the way. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very, goes very well with the times we're living in, right? On the brink
Yeah.
of World War
20
III.
years later, it's still very
It is.
relevant.
It's more relevant.
More relevant than ever.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at my garden today, and it's still, like, I still have flowers blooming. And I was like,
Oh.
this is nice, but it's not right, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
Something's off.
yeah, I was like, this is very beautiful, but, yeah.
Wanting to hold on to things that really can't be. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Well, no, just more like that sometimes, I mean, like you say, we could go for a swim in November, which I know that for many people, like, summer is their favorite their favorite season. But because it's warm and, you can do a lot of things when it's warm. But I think, like, one of the beautiful things about life and the planet and, like, something so natural is change. And for me, the seasons, like, living in perpetual summer all my life and then moving to places with seasons, I think taught me a lot of appreciation for change and for knowing that, like, things will die, and then it'll be a period of a little bit of a uncertainty, and then they will bloom, in the spring, and then it'll be hot in the summer. But now I feel like we are living in those uncertain times, and things are changing. But it's sort of like, is the dream of eternal summer something we actually want as humanity? Like, is that really
Do we
good?
really want to
when
make
I look
America
at flowers
great?
in my garden in November. Yeah, do we want to make America great again?
Just make the world great. Why just America, right?
Yeah,
No,
fair.
hopefully not with that kind of leadership. But
Well, right.
Yeah. And we, not to get existential, but I think we've talked about it on the show before of, like, why is it so difficult for us to just, be kind to each other, understand that, like, nobody wants to be killed, nobody wants to die, nobody wants to be a part of violence, yet we still perpetuate it and live it.
And I think it speaks back to the lyric of we treat others how we want to be treated. So
Yeah.
if you don't believe you deserve better, are you going to give better?
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right, that is round 2. It's time for a quick production note. Discourse is produced in partnership with Hey Awesome Girl, a full-service marketing and creative studio on a mission to help female entrepreneurs build and grow companies that empower their lives. Become a part of their awesome community by visiting heyawesomegirl.com/grow. All right, let's get into round 3.
I know this song.
This first track is Dreamin' by Monterrey. It was released as an independent single in 2024. Tell us about this one, Roger.
So Dreamin' was a song I wrote when I was living in New York. I moved to New York, and I grew up in Florida, but I moved to New York in 2021. And I think Dreamin' was the first song I'd written while I was living in New York City, particularly Brooklyn. And I think it was kind of like a reaction that I was feeling to the change in pace from Florida, particularly, and just my life in general was just fast paced and just getting in trains, getting off trains, getting in cars, getting off cars, going in huge buildings, going up elevators to top floors and just overlooking. So it was just like people just moving in fast motion, and the cover is sort of like an inspiration of that, and how like people were just constantly moving in and out of people's places, spaces, and that natural motion, you know. So I feel like it's kind of like really it's a self-reflection on me experiencing a change, in this case the city where I lived, and then the idea of dreaming is just like, you know, like sort of like all the influences that I've had up to now, and dreams in particular were a huge factor because I'd always dreamed about moving to New York, and this was my dream, and now I'm living that dream, and now I'm overwhelmed, and it's just like, you know, when you finally get the dream, that the rose-colored dream that you always wanted, and then you have it, and it's just like you're going nuts, like just trying to keep up with the pace of that choice you've made. So I think it's this song is really a lot of that, and you can kind of see in this part in particular, you know, how that the change of pace, this changes when you're in your personal space. Like I'd come home, I'd decompress, and that's when I would write music, and this is like it being printed. And I got to shout out my friend First World, of course, who is also the producer. We co-produced this song together, and clearly this is his influence on that too. And First World does a great job of being able to tap into the feelings of the aesthetics of music that I personally love to hear. So having that collaboration with somebody who understands that was, I think, one of the great successes of this song.
I love that. I do love that change in pace that happens, and then it sounds kind of like almost like an alarm. I guess it's more like a phone hang up sound.
Yeah, so the song,
something like that, and then it picks
for sure.
back up.
Like it's really a conversation that, I mean, if I'm talking about the lyrics, it's this person who's waking up in the middle of the night to a phone call, and he's picks up that phone call, and there's a voice at the other end telling him, them, or me, in that case, that you must be dreaming. So it's sort of like a question on whether you're dreaming or not. Is this a dream? You know, so, and the music video kind of goes a little bit deeper into that idea of, you know, whether or not whose dream we're in. But yeah, which, by the way, I also recommend a great movie that I just saw yesterday called Dream Scenario by Christopher Borgli. Excellent movie about dreams, since we're on the topic, but.
Nice.
Yeah, great song.
Yes. I feel transported into the album cover. I can feel like I can go there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. The change of pace for me, like thinking of New York, makes me feel kind of like that, right? Like when you live in a big city, and I mean, Miami's a big city, but it's fast paced in another way than New York is, right? Because New York, you're kind of like in the city, you're a part of the city, and like it kind of takes you over, whereas Miami, you're just kind of trying to get through the city.
It's like a heart attack where you're just clogging up, and like at least New York keeps things like moving smoothly most of the time, unless you're in traffic, of course. But on the train, it just feels like you're just this blood vessel is like constantly streaming, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Miami, you're just like.
All right, this next song is Pirate Radio by Gene Dawson. It was released on Chaos Now on P+ in 2022. Raja, tell us about this one.
Yeah, the video for this song is also dreamy. It's so many contradictory visuals and imagery throughout on this beautiful song that he wrote for his dad, who was an actual sailor. In his previous life, um, was engaged in California, but decided to become a sailor for the sake of his young family. So this is Dawson's reflection of his dad's journey and how he had to basically chart a course that wasn't any kind of example in his life. Um, but also the title of the song is Pirate Radio, and Pirate Radio is like an unlicensed radio station broadcast to the general public. So it's also just like getting the message out to people in a way that seems like you shouldn't be doing this, but it feels right and you have to do it. So like wrestling with those internal battles and just the idea of like when you're dreaming, it's your brain trying to process your subconscious or things you've experienced or feelings of like deja vu, and just whatever is coming up for you in the moment. And so I think the song just takes you there and it sounds great. It's one of my favorite songs.
I love that. What is that, a guitar?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like it's in the subject of dreaming, you know. I think for me, like, dreams have been a big part of my life because as a Cuban immigrant, I think for most of my life, the dream, like the American dream, the making dreams come true part has been important. And like growing up with that idea that so many of our ancestors couldn't make their dreams come true and couldn't, you know, go for what they wanted their life to be like because they had a family, because they had, you know, to pretty much survive. So this song reminds me a lot of that.
Yeah, and Dawson said he wanted to try to make the sound like a sea shanty or you're at sea.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
that also resonates well with, just like you said, the journey of our ancestors. So,
Yeah.
Nice. This next song is Juana Metro by Juan
Oh, Juana
Guerra.
Meta. Yeah. I didn't remember what my choice was.
I was released on, I'm just going to say the American version of this because I'm feeling anxious. El Original 440 on Aries Music Entertainment
El
2016.
original 440. Yeah.
Thank
So this is Juan Luis Guerra, and the album is called Soplando. So a lot of people don't know this about Juan Luis Guerra, but he went to Berkeley, and he's an amazing jazz musician, even though he's well known in Latin America for his merengue and, you know, Latin music. To me, he's one of the best musicians, if not the best, that Latin America has to offer. Roger, you can contradict me on that if you want. So Juana Mecho is, you know, I think this song was released in 1984 when he was trying to blend jazz and merengue and do something called meren jazz. But this song always makes me feel like has that. I feel like it sort of feels like soul in a way that it drives you to sort of lose yourself in there. But then, like when we get to the chorus, you'll notice that it does this like he does this like crazy thing with I guess it's a saxophone or something, and that like it's like a trance for me, you know. And I mean it's just a love song. It's a love song about a guy that wants to, you know, oh, Juana me echo, tú me tienes preso. Like it's about a woman that he loves and he fell in love with when she was a child, or well, muchachita, like a teenager, right? And then, you know, he's like asking her for a kiss, and it's kind of like a love song, but yeah.
Juan Luis Guerra in particular is so excellent at connecting with that love emotion. But I could agree, you know, as a Hispanic, I can like these songs were a part of my childhood growing up. So naturally, I think all his music is somewhere in a daydream of mine when I think back to like growing up, to my family get-togethers and having, Bachata Rosa play, which is another title of his, another love song, but such a dreamy quality in the sense that, because when I think of my childhood, I think of the daydreaming aspect of thinking of these songs, growing up and thinking to when my grandparents were alive and having them cover this song on a piano, for example, or one of his hits. But yeah, Juan Luis Guerra is excellent at that, and I was surprised to hear it was from Berkeley, but it makes a lot of sense. He's very, very talented.
Yeah, he went to Berkeley. Yeah. This is what I was talking about. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is saxophone or a trumpet. I don't know what it is, but is that like,
it's like a trombone.
I love
and
that.
trumpet.
And then it has like, I'm not sure. I know it's a wind instrument, but don't quote me on that. And then it has that part where they're like talking to each other. They're whispering to each other, and it's like that intimate moment where you're like in bed with someone. And he's just like, oh, just dame un beso, like give me a kiss. And it's like, oh, it's so good. It has so many layers and elements. And it's a pretty long song. It's probably one of the longest songs he has. And I could play it, like I could keep it playing forever and sort of not get tired of listening to it. Like I do it all the time when I'm doing like my makeup or something, I'll put it on. Yeah.
This is the instrument you're talking about.
But yeah, and also No. So it's the one that comes after. The one with like that one. This one. That part. That's the instrument. Which I don't know what that is. But he was also very greatly influenced by the Beatles. So there's like a story about Juan Luis Guerra being at Berkeley and doing like an Afro-Caribbean version of Let It Be.
That's
and
so
people
cool.
just like, who is this guy? Yeah. And he tunes his instruments, like the instruments for his band. He's very methodical. And if you ever I don't know if you've ever been to any of his concerts, but his concerts are incredible. And he can hear, he has such a good ear that he can like see if somebody's out of tune, and like he'll stop and correct them and be like, no, it needs to be this.
I have friends like that.
And he's still winning Grammys.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah.
Skill.
He's one of the greats, for sure.
He really is. And yeah, I feel like not too many people know this particular song, and I feel like they should. Because, Burbujas de Amor. I believe we had another one of his songs in another episode. I think it was Bachata Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember right now. But yeah, this is a different side to him, I think, than like the usual. I mean, there's obviously like the merengue Juan Luis, and there's like the Christian merengue aspect of him, and then there's this side of him, which is like him finding himself. So I love that.
Nice. This last song is I'm Going to Heaven by Amigo the Devil. It was released on Yours Until the War is Over on Liars Club, Regime Music in 2024. So I love Amigo the Devil. He's kind of a offbeat musician. Like he's really good at storytelling. So his name is Danny Kiranos. He was born and raised in Miami by a Greek father and a Spanish mother. So he has the music influence of both of those cultures. And he's great at storytelling and one-liners, and like he has just some interesting turn of phrase in his lyrics, which always gets me. This song in particular starts off telling the story of revenge for his wife's murder. So it starts out early on. By the time they got to the scene of the crime, my love was dead and the killer was crying. He put a pistol up to his temple and smiled. And then it goes into the first chorus of I'm Going to Heaven. Then he blew out his brains. So the whole story is him like going to heaven to find this guy that killed his wife to get revenge. And like he starts off going down to hell. He said he brought some wine for the devil himself. And he said, that prick isn't here, he's up in the kingdom. So then he makes a deal with the devil to, you know, help torture some souls down there, and the devil sends them up to heaven. One of the lines in that section is, I'm not leaving till the pearly gates are crimson. So then he gets up there, he sees St. Pete. It says, well, and like he sees him coming to the gates all mad. It says, St. Petey was shaking and cried, excuse me, sir, you can't cut the line. I said, cute little bark, I guess all dogs do go to heaven. And then a laugh was shaking the gate from the other side. The big man himself was standing there, approximately 4'5". He said, good to see you, son. Why'd you come to Kingdom Come? I snapped, hey, Giggles, you know exactly what he's done. There's just a lot of like really comical little lines in there that crack me up, and I love it so much. He's very theatrical, like he does little voices for all the different like people in the story. So like he starts telling God off later in the song.
Tropical,
yeah,
like influence in there.
Oh, absolutely. And then like at some point it says he just said no, and then the song gets kind of dreamy, and like the lyrics kind of distort, so it kind of all like flows together, and then it transitions to, I don't know, let me get you out of that hole. So in the end, the whole thing was a ketamine trip, and his wife is alive. Oh. So this is why I picked it for Dream, because it's all,
Such a,
this story that happens.
Ambiguous song, right?
When
like,
he's...
whether is it a dream?
Yeah.
Is it real life? What's happening here? But I'd never heard of him, so thank you for introducing to him. I love his lyrics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had never heard of this either.
Yeah, like
Is
he's
this
got
not
so
a
many.
love song?
A love song? No, I wouldn't
To
say
me,
so.
He loves her.
Oh yeah, he definitely did.
He
But
loves
this
her.
is a
Like, he
revenge
was ready
song.
to cry. Like,
This
you
is kind of
what?
like the story of, what is that Greek mythology story? Ugh,
There's so many.
Persephone.
Hades.
Oh,
Persephone.
Persephone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking of another one. Damn it, I can't think of it right now. But the one with the guy that makes music, whose name I can't remember.
I also get the different mythos confused.
Same.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Tom Waits for some reason. His voice maybe is what is kind of bringing that to.
Yeah. I don't know Tom Waits well, but I feel like that is probably accurate.
Or at least one of his influences for sure.
Yeah.
Orpheus. That's what I'm thinking
Orpheus.
Morpheus.
of. Yeah. Like Orpheus and I believe her name is Eurydice.
Persephone?
Eurydice?
Oh. Okay.
No, because Orpheus writes like this song to get her back from the underground.
Okay.
Goes looking for her.
Nice.
I really
And
like
he's laughing
myths that
at
include
revealing
the
it was
underworld.
just a ketamine trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, the last thing he says is, I hate ketamine. That's great. I love him so much. So that is our show. Thanks, everybody. Who should win this round? It's getting harder to pick people. I don't know why that
I
is.
didn't know it was a contest.
Roger, you get to win. You win this
Oh,
episode.
thank you! Yay! Oh, Roger.
Oh,
You both win.
La La Land is the actual winner, guys.
All right, Roger, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you online?
You can find me most primarily on Instagram, or you can go to monterreytunes.com, and that's Monterrey with 2 R's, if you want to look me up.
Awesome. And we will be back with another episode every week, so be sure to hit subscribe. You can follow us everywhere at Discourse Podcast. That's Discourse with 2 C's. And of course, find the playlist on Spotify and Tidal. You've been a wonderful audience. Good night.
Good night.